Inside Hilltopper Athletics is brought to you by Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. Here's your host, Lynn Alum.
Welcome, Hilltopper Nation, to our second week of Inside Hilltopper Athletics Football Edition, joined by head coach Roger Wiley. Coach, today is a somber day for Hilltopper Nation as we learned of the news of the passing of your friend and West Liberty benefactor, Gary West. So, first of all, our condolences, knowing the relationship that you had with Gary and Flip.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a little bit shocking when I got the news. It was right after practice on Sunday. He led a good life, and prayers go out to Flip and Lori and Burley and the rest of their family.
Yeah, Gary, he was almost like a force of nature, and I never got to know him anywhere near the level that you did, but in my roles in the athletic department, especially as an AD, definitely got to know him better than earlier in my career, but such a vibrant, strong personality, almost immortal. So it is quite shocking, but
yeah, he was very determined. When he saw something he wanted to do, he made sure it got done, and that's why he was such a successful businessman, a great family man, and he really took care of things that he thought was important. And we still don't know how many people he's affected with his generosity with their family and their foundation and the things that they've given to so many different funds, and some anonymous, some not anonymous. They were a very giving family.
Yeah, it's his impact on the university. I don't think you could. We know what it would say on a ledger,
right?
Which is incredible. The largest donor in West Liberty history, the greatest philanthropist that we've seen and probably will see. But as you said, what those dollars and his support eventually meant to people, we could never measure. But I don't think there's been a greater champion and an embodiment of what West Liberty means, what a West Liberty degree meant to someone, and how they used that degree and then gave back so much.
Yeah, and he's, at West Liberty here, everybody thinks that, Gary helped football, and he did immensely, but they don't look at, they don't really see the other places that he's helped, and look at the new aquatic center going up. If it wasn't for Gary, that probably wouldn't be being built right now, donating the property and then the apartments to go along with it. He started off with the scholarships for the School of Business and trying to increase our business program, and then kind of melted into football a little bit, then supported the track and soccer, and then, finally the weight room. But this stadium is unbelievable. I'll put it up against anybody in our conference and most people in the country.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you did bring that point up, because with athletics being, to use a dated cliche, it's the front porch of a lot of universities, and because of our nation's love for sports and athletics and college sports, everyone knows what Gary meant to the athletic department. But you are 100% right. They also don't see the impact that he's had on our university, and I'm not going to get into the list because you've already done that quite well with the School of Business and other things, but it was way more than just athletics, and his impact will be felt for years to come. Right,
and then, other things within the community, Ogilvy, I don't know if anybody knows that the stands that went in on the 6th Street field was because of him and his family. So there's many, many more places other than West Liberty. Obviously he was leader in philanthropy in our community, and he's done things up in Pittsburgh, the St. Jude. So there's just too many to name as where he's been very giving. And
well, absolutely. So let's take it where we're a little bit more positive about this, because it obviously is a somber mood, but we all have stories to tell, and I'm going to start with my favorite Gary story. We were playing, I believe it was a Thursday night football game here a year or two ago, and if kickoff was at 7, we don't open the gates until 5:30. So I'm running around doing AD stuff before the game, and I was headed towards the ASRC to get something for the press box, and we had already had a crowd start to gather, and it was a nice night, and the sun's kind of beating down, and I look over, and there's Gary and Flip patiently standing in amongst a crowd of people. So I immediately made a beeline straight over there to kind of tell security, like, that's the one person or people that we need to let in. And of course, I apologize. Sorry, Gary and Flip. If we'd have known you were here, we'd have come down. And they're like, no problem. We're just here talking to people, and it's no big deal. And I think for me, what that story indicates, that for what he did, and I even told our police, who were doing their job, by the way,
right,
they're not supposed to let people in, that if there's anybody we're going to let in, it's going to be the person that paid for the facility. But he was just so humble, and you wouldn't know of the things that he had accomplished in his life, even financially, by just talking to him. He was still a blue-collar guy, and he didn't have big airs about him, and he wasn't going to walk around and flaunt anything. He was just one of us, and that's what I appreciate the most about him.
Yeah, both him and Flip. I mean, I probably have a lot more stories than I probably should say, but, you would never know the amount of, let's face it, the amount of money they had if you just saw them on the street. They were normal people. And you said the right word, they don't flaunt it in front of anybody's face, and that's the biggest thing. But just like I can tell you, the first meeting I ever had, the first thing we did was the turf. And Gary's big into the partnership. I'll take care of half, you take care of half, and then we're going through the process and found out that state dollars couldn't go towards state facilities. And he said, so the half that I gave isn't going to cover it. I said, no, we might as well. Really, I just said we might as well give it back. And he reached in his back pocket, wrote a check, and handed me a check. And I was thinking, well, this is like my mom giving me allowance, but there was extremely more zeros behind it. But, it was just how, really nonchalant, and he's found out that we couldn't put state dollars towards its auxiliary facilities, but, just out of the blue, very calm, didn't make a big deal about it. And I'm sitting here, couldn't breathe.
Right. And I think one of the points that a lot of people miss is when you have built an industry, a business like Gary and Flip did, and you accumulate assets, how many people are constantly asking for a handout?
Yeah.
Now, here at West Liberty, we might call it a handout, but we invest it back in our student athletes. Right. So just talk a little bit about what the West family's generosity has done for our program and who benefited from that.
Well, really everything that Gary did for us university-wise, he needed to see a return on investment. If you couldn't prove that what he was investing in didn't make money for the school, obviously, then he wasn't going to do it. And and I'll talk about the West Family Sports Complex up there, the soccer field and the track. We had to dig into the numbers to see, okay, how would this impact the university? And when you add the amount of students that we've added in track, women's soccer, men's soccer, with very little scholarship money, that investment, we were thinking over a 6-year plan that it would pay off, and it paid off in 2 years. And that's what got him excited about the weight room. And it wasn't going to be the scholarship kids that it affected. It was going to be the kids that were walking on that had a nice place to lift, the female student athletes that were going into a nicer place that was cleaner. And that was the impact on that when he saw their faces of what they were in before and what they're in now. That's what gave him, I guess, I don't know what word I'm looking for, is the satisfaction that what he was doing was right. But, everything had to benefit the university for it to happen, to help the university strive. Not only, did he want football and the rest of the athletics, but he wanted to have an impact on the university and how it can sustain itself with the projects and things that he was doing.
Well, as always, that Gary probably realized that way earlier than a lot of people did in higher education.
Right.
That it's got to sustain itself, and there's going to be a time when we are going to have a solid plan, as the amount of money that the state contributes every year is diminished over a 40, 50-year period. Gary, as always, was a step ahead of everybody else, so it's definitely paid dividends here. As we wrap up this first segment, I would like to acknowledge Gary paid for this beautiful turf that's behind us.
Correct.
He put the first turf in. We got an incredible amount of time out of that first turf because of the amount of attention to detail that you and your staff put into it. But when we realized that it was time to replace it, who stepped up and did it again? So Hilltopper Nation, to Gary and his family, we love you. We appreciate everything you did, and this podcast is dedicated to your memory and what you gave us.
Fire alarm activation, either Wagner building.
It was a space heater that had caught on fire, and it was really a major smoke event. We immediately called Panhandle, and they were on the scene rather quickly and got their air cleaning machines, smoke eating machines. They cleaned our ductwork inside and out, painted the walls, shampooed the carpets, cleaned every flat surface in the office, vacuumed, and got us up and running really quickly. Panhandle did a great job.
Inside Hilltopper Athletics is brought to you by Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. Here's your host, Lynn Ollum.
Welcome back to our next segment of Inside Hilltopper Athletics Football Edition. I'm Lynn Ollum, Director of Athletics, sitting here with Coach Wiley. Coach, let's talk a little bit about the game last week. We opened up at Walsh, not the result that we would have liked to have had, but as always, let's just start with your thoughts on the game.
Well, there was five major components, or five major segments of time that hurt us the first 8 minutes. For some reason, we were stuck in the mud, then we got going. But, no one play loses a game, but the combination of those five separate plays, and most of them were, 4 of them were on special teams, and one of them offensively led to our demise. I don't think they did anything extremely to us. We had some mental breakdowns. We physically missed a couple kicks, and we give them a free 3 before half because we didn't keep our composure. We misread a coverage and led to a pick 6. But, I'm glad the way the kids responded, being down 24-0 at one time, and then coming all the way back and giving them a chance to complete the task. But you can't, in college football, you can't give anybody any extra opportunities, and that's what we've talked about. That's what we've preached over the last few years, is we got to take care of our own business and things will happen our way.
Well, I'll take the blame for special teams because we used to refer to it as our former SID, the Don Clegg Jinx. Mm-hmm. Of course, my theme last week was special teams, the unsung heroes at points. Of course, we brought Teresa Gretchen on, our producer, to further illustrate that point. So let's even displace the blame. I'm not going to take the blame for it. I'm going to blame it on Teresa.
Well, she moved us outside. She knows I'm superstitious. We should be inside in the same direction, not facing the hallway. So we're undefeated that way.
But you were correct. Kind of a tale of two halves. We did find ourselves down. Moved the ball a little in the first half, just didn't have points to show for it. It did reach a point on 24-0, and to make it even crazier, it almost appeared it was going to go to 31-0. We dug in, got a stop. They missed a field goal, and then the game just kind of changed. So talk a little bit. How did it change? What were we doing better at that point to make it happen?
Well, I think number one, defensively, we started tackling a lot better. You know, our tackling was really bad in the first half, and I think you look at a lot of the plays where they had big plays, it was just more missed tackles than anything else. Offensively, Rudy kind of got in the rhythm. We hit some deep balls. We were able to spread them out. Really disappointed in the run game, but if you look at it, go back, look on film, that's the one thing they weren't going to let us do is run the ball. They outmanned us in the box. We're not, normally we don't throw the ball 60 times, 59 times in a game. But it got to the point, are you going to try to win the game or are you going to try to establish something for the season? And I said, we're going to go try to win it. And so we just continued. We got into our 2-minute offense early in the fourth quarter, and, maybe we should just run 2 minutes the whole game.
Well, we definitely started making plays. You referenced 59 throws, and there's not a lot of games in school history. If I would have done a little bit better job of my homework, I would have found out where that stands on the all-time list. But you are right, when you're down, it kind of does eliminate the run, and that's why I don't get too caught up on stats. Can be taken out of context. So if you're going to look at overall rushing yards, when you're down, you almost have to abandon the run. But boy, did it work. We started making plays. Talk about a little bit of the individual performances. Start with the quarterback play.
Well, I thought other than one play, it was excellent. He was going through his reads, and when he saw stuff, he checked to it. He got us out of some bad situations and run calls and so forth. Our communication was a little bit bad. There's times where when he was changing the play, we didn't get it outside with the receivers, and, we have to work to correct that. So quarterback play I thought was really good. We can win a lot of games if he plays that way.
2 receivers over 100 yards. Talk a little bit about the receiving corps.
Yeah, Chris Charles, only had 5 receptions, but there were big plays down the field, which we haven't had a couple easy ones. We got a couple easy ones, during that game. And then Rayshawn Harvey had a great game, 14 catches, 168 yards. But we knew last week the strength of our team does lie in the receiving corps. They are really deep, and, if you look at the number of receivers, and there's still a couple that will surface.
Yeah, and one thing that I always look for is catches that don't maybe show up in TD catches, but there were some hand catches of balls that I thought were really impressive in that game.
Right. We were able to be, and we were aggressive to the ball. We didn't wait for the ball to come to us. We attacked the football, and that's when you can catch it in your hands and eliminate some of the hits that you would take. If you're stationary and you're catching the ball, especially coming back to the quarterback, that's when you suffer a lot of hits. But I thought we were patient. We were able to throw it underneath when they rolled up. We were able to get some easy ones, designed the place. Like the last touchdown, he looked up, he saw the coverage. They played the same coverage they got the pick 6 on. So he knew what to check to. He checked to the double move. We ran a slant, a sluggo route, a slant and a go, and he was wide open and raced down to the sideline. So, those things we got to notice earlier in the game if they changed something. So, no, just a really good job by Rudy. The offensive line, I thought, pass blocked pretty well because they were running a lot of different stuff for us. We had to start a true freshman at center, Mason Fraley, Creech has played center in the middle of the game. He goes, Coach, I can't believe all the stuff they're throwing at him, and he's getting most of it right, making the checks, getting the line going the right way. So, a lot of things. The biggest negative is we lost the game, but there was more positives that came out for the future for us.
What about, let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. Pretty much dominated the game in the second half.
Yeah, really, really tackled well in the second half, ran to the ball. This is one of the few we noticed early that this group plays hard no matter what. But we got a lot of good play out of, the freshman corner comes to mind. He made some great plays defensively. You look up front, the front 4 played hard, and they probably the most plays our front 4 has played probably in my tenure. We're used to playing 8 to 12 guys up there, and we were stuck with 8 because of injuries. And so that was really seeing them get through the whole game somewhat healthy. Hopefully the reinforcements are getting healthy enough to play, because we want to get back up to playing 8 to 10. But, you look at Cam Rice's performance, John Brown's performance in there. They really, really did a good job. And I know I'm leaving out a couple more. Carson Moore got his first extended action since he's been here 2 years on a knee rehab. DeAndre Horsley wreaked havoc. He showed that he can get off the edge, and he's one of the elite pass rushers we've had here. So, a lot of good things happen.
All right, well, let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk about this week's opponent.
Disasters happen. Pick the team that takes care of them all. Powered by offices in Wheeling, Morgantown, and Pittsburgh, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration is ready to handle any size emergency at a moment's notice. We have the right people, knowledge, and equipment to respond 24 hours a day.
I'm Roger Wildeye. When disaster strikes your home or business, tell your insurance provider you prefer the restoration company the Hilltoppers call, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Inside Hilltopper Athletics is brought to you by Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. Here's your host, Lynn Ullum.
Welcome back to our last segment of this week's edition of Inside Hilltopper Athletics. Coach, Thursday night game, which I kind of like. I enjoy the Thursday night games. I think when the lights come on and with the backdrop here, we have one of the more beautiful stadiums in the country, and I kind of like that Thursday night atmosphere. But let's talk about our opponent. What do we know about Fairmont?
Well, Fairmont returns, 2 years of Floria, the quarterback. He started as a true freshman, started last year, got hurt in our game, didn't finish the season, so he had a good game the first game. Whereas Fairmont thrived in the first game against Bloomsburg with special teams wise, so it's a big challenge for our special teams. But if you look at them offensively, they return him, one wide receiver, and then they return their whole 5 starting offensive line. So whenever you have that experience that up front, you're going to be dangerous. Defensively is where most of their premier starters, Brockton, who was freshman of the year a couple years ago, at inside backer, and then their other linebacker started as a true freshman last year. They have tall, rangy corners, meaning last week they started 2 corners that were 6'3", which is unheard of on our level. So, I think this conference is going to be the same as last year. Everything's going to be so evenly matched that you're going to have to play week in and week out. There's not going to be any easy victories.
Well, Fairmont, it is a rivalry game.
Correct.
For sure. Not a lot of love lost between the two institutions in most sports. They did win week 1 at Bloomsville, scored late in the game.
Right.
Put up 30-plus points. What type of offense will we see out of them?
Well, they've kind of done a little bit what we've done. They've, the last 3 years they were strictly in the gun. Now they've gone back under center. They, run RPOs on second and medium and so forth. But I think they're in search. Their tailback left and got into the transfer portal. They played 3 kids that I thought ran the ball extremely well. So offensively, they're going to try to spread you out. If they can't spread you out, they're going to try to load the box. But they're looking to run the football first and then try to hit you with a big play when you start coming up or get on play action. So they did run the quarterback a little more than they have in the past with some design runs. So I'm imagining that we'll see some of those with us. What
about what will we see on the defensive side?
Well, defensively, Bloomsburg runs such a different offense. I don't know if they can play us the same way. Bloomsburg runs a lot of unbalance, a lot of different things with the tight end. They're a traditional set, meaning they play with a tight end, fullback, and 2 wide receivers probably 80% of the time. So they played them a little differently. I'd imagine with us, they're going to try to play us man-to-man first, cover 1, and try to stop us that way, and if not, jump into some zones. They did blitz quite a bit against Bloomsburg, but there were more run blitzes than pass blitzes.
Let's talk about playing on Thursday night. I know we revisit this time to time. Thoughts on Thursday night?
I love the home Thursday night games because then we're done, we can go home. The away Thursday night games, when you're getting home at 2 in the morning, that's not good. So if they all could be at home, I'd play every one of them on Thursday night. But the away ones, I don't want to play any Thursday night games.
Maybe I could have a talk with the commissioner and see if we could get all home games.
You're right.
We'd all be in favor of that. But, well, thank you for tuning in. This is going to wrap up this week's Inside Hilltopper Athletics edition. Coach, good luck. Let's get one on Thursday night.
Yes, thank you.
Disasters happen. Pick the team that takes care of them all. Powered by offices in Wheeling, Morgantown, and Pittsburgh, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration is ready to handle any size emergency at a moment's notice. We have the right people, knowledge, and equipment to respond 24 hours a day.
I'm Roger Wiley. When disaster strikes your home or business, tell your insurance provider you prefer the restoration company the Hilltoppers call, Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Hi, my name is Craig Bober. I'm a senior finance major at West Liberty University, and today I'm going to be showing you what it's like to be a part of this program. Heading to my first class of the day, investment portfolio analysis with Professor Jesse.
We're going to start off doing some current events, and then we're going to look at evaluating some stocks, figuring out the intrinsic value. We're going to do Knight, Tyson, Disney, and waste management. We need to make some investments with the investment club.
The finance program at West Liberty is an exceptional experience. In the program, there are amazing teachers that always make class fun and engaging. A new student enrolling in the program should expect a personable learning experience when you're engaging in classroom activities and building relationships with your teachers and classmates. I chose the major in finance because of my interest in the finance world and my want to pursue a career in business. My goals after graduating are to become a certified financial planner and help people achieve their retirement and savings goals. Heading in my second class of the day, Management Capstone with Dr. Rocchio.
So part of what we've been doing over the last several weeks was looking at the internal and external factors of the companies that you had chosen to research.
This major is good for others to consider because of the quality of education you receive and the relationships you build with the people in the business department. Professionally, with a finance degree, you have many different career options like banking, insurance, financial planning, or even tax services. I chose West Liberty University because I did not want to go far from home, but I still wanted to be away. Personally, what I like most about West Liberty is the great people that live here. West Liberty Business program attracts many people from different countries, so this provides you with a unique and diverse learning environment being here. We're going to be heading into the investment club meeting.
So as we talked about, here's our current portfolio allocation. So we still have about $5,000 left, so we need to make some investments.
The Investment Club is a student-ran club that is sponsored by West Banco, where we use real money to buy stocks and bonds to build a class portfolio. This club is a great place to learn about the stock market and how investing works. All the decisions that we make regarding our portfolio are voted on by all the members of the club. And now for my last class of the day, my finance capstone with Professor Jesse. West Liberty's Finance Capstone is unique because it is a CFP board-registered program, which is something that not all colleges offer. In this course, we learn about topics like ethics, retirement planning, tax planning, and risk management, which prepares us for the CFP exam. And now we're going to cap off the day with playing some basketball with my friends. Being a student athlete, there are many challenges that come with it, but the rewards far outweigh them. Through my 4 years of playing football here, I learned many valuable life skills and have built friendships that will last a lifetime. Thanks for coming along with me today, and for more information, just visit our website.